Hello, everyone. It's Heather Campbell, and welcome to Curveball. Today, I am here with the lovely Deborah Ann Baker. And one day in her life, well, actually, it just stopped. Illness literally came out of nowhere and slammed the brakes on everything, her business, her identity, the version of itself that always seemed to hold it together. In that silence, she found something completely unexpected. The little girl inside who once got scolded for coloring a tree purple, well, don't you know that trees are brown and green? And decided back then to play it safe and stay quiet with literally nothing left to lose. She picked up a paintbrush, ditched the rules, and let the messy wild truth spill out. That moment cracked open a whole new life for Deborah. Do people call you Deborah or Deborah Ann?
Deborah.
Deborah. Okay. That moment cracked up in a whole new life for Deborah. The abstract, intuitive impressionism process, her book, There is No Such Thing as Purple Trees, and her mission to help women shake off perfection and finally be heard. That's amazing. Deborah, welcome to Curveball.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here, meet you, and have an opportunity to speak with you.
Oh my gosh. So let's start with that purple tree. How old were you? What happened? And can you even believe that somebody would tell a child in pure imagination that they're being naughty for not following the rules in art?
I tell you, I was 6 years old.
Oh,
It was our art day at school. And my grandmother had just given me a package of 16 colored crayons.
oh yeah. I know
And
that feeling. Yeah.
before that, we had 8.
Yes.
It was kind of exciting. And the teacher gave the instructions. Now we're going to draw a tree. And that was it. So as a kid, I used to run through the golden fields and climb gigantic oak trees. If you've ever been to New Orleans, you know the sprawling oak trees. And I'd climb up in there and I would sketch and color. And I would see things differently or that other people couldn't see. And so I took out the purple crayon and I was so excited. And I started just drawing this purple tree here and a purple tree there and a purple tree there, all excited. And it came the time where the teacher came around to each of us and showed our drawings or paintings to the class, and she made comments. She got to me and I was like, I'm so excited. And she picked it up and she held it up to the class and said, Deborah, there is no such thing as purple trees. I was devastated. All that enthusiasm, all that joy, just like drained out and wanted to melt into the floor. I wanted to go under the desk. I wanted to run out. My heart was pumping. I didn't know what was going on. What did I do? Why is it wrong? Why is she picking on me?
Right.
And so as a kid, you don't have the words to be able to explain what that experience is or what it does to you, but you have that feeling that, boy, I'm never going to do that again.
Right. Like it's stunning. Like you can have just one of those things that sticks in your mind forever. I just have to ask you, have you ever heard of the song by Harry Chapin called Flowers Are Red?
No.
Okay. Write that down because it is exactly your story. And I remember the first time my mom played that for me, I don't know, I must have been like maybe 10 and I just cried and cried for this little boy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Same thing. God. But it's really, so that is something that like stopped you in your tracks. And then looking back, obviously, like when you're 6, like you don't have the language to say, well, obviously I've learned that there's consequences somehow for doing, like looking back on your life then, how did that comment, do you think, control how you approached art then, even as a young child from that point forward?
It wasn't only art. It touched every thread, every fabric of my beingness. What happened was When I was walking home from school, I had folded that drawing into such a tiny little tight spot, and I put it in my pocket because I didn't want anybody to ever see it. And the crayon was there, and I put my hand in the
Mm.
pocket, and I remember I was holding on to it so tightly I broke the crayon.
Oh my
And so
gosh.
I decided from then on, purple wasn't my color. It was not going to show up in my life. And so I just ignored it, even though coming up through life, I mean, I saw purple flowers, I saw lilacs, walked by store images, and there was purple things all around. But I
Right.
had this mask where I really couldn't see it purple. It just didn't exist. What else happened is when you feel small, when you feel diminished, when you're
Mhm.
told that's not going to happen, or if you're told that's not good enough, all of these things then become your persona. And
Oh my
so the
gosh,
mask
right.
begins to get thicker and thicker until that becomes the whole personality. And so what happened from that, just to give you an example of how it goes through your entire life. When I was in elementary school, I decided, okay, I'm going to be perfect.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to do everything right. I'm only going to
Yes.
talk when I know the answer. I'm going to follow the rules. And I'm going to be the best student there is.
And were you all those things?
Oh, gosh, to the T,
Oh
to the
my
T.
gosh.
In the fifth grade.
And I'm sure that there was a lot of time though. You set out this goal because I know what it's like to set out sort of a grown up goal at a really young age. And I look back and I'm just like, oh my gosh, all the things that decision influenced my life. But the thing is you probably did it and you were like, this is amazing. I set out this goal to do this. And look at me, I'm doing all of it. And it's not like, it's not like if you're going down like the wrong path, it's horrible the whole way. But you knew that something was, did you know something was missing or that you were like quelling something a little bit to stay small? Were you aware of that? Like, I better not do that. Like when you're like, say, a junior in high school, even, or has it just become so much a way of you living? Like, I'm just going to be this perfect human.
Well, an example of the fifth grade.
Mm,
At the end of the year, there was an assembly, and all the parents and the school was there. They gave out 7 medals. I think it was 7. And I walked away with 4 or 5 medals: mathematics, English, science. I love science.
right.
And the medals were hanging on around my neck. And as people were clapping and excited about it, I didn't really hear. I could see them, but I didn't hear the applause.
Mm,
And as I walked off the stage, I heard the medals clanking. And when I got off the stage, I was like numb
right.
and I couldn't explain it. I was thinking, well, wait, I did all this and I got the recognition. Shouldn't it feel good? Shouldn't I be
Right.
on top of the world? But I wasn't.
Oh
But I
my gosh.
wasn't.
So fast forward then into your adulthood. How did that impact like your schooling, the kind of jobs you took, who you maybe chose to be in a relationship with?
this is this can be delicious.
Yeah. Oh, do tell.
Okay, so moving on, say going to college, I had to get my PhD. I had
Mm,
to prove that I was smart. I had to prove that I had worth some kind of way. So I went through and got my PhD in counseling
oh my
psychology.
gosh. Right.
So within a year of my PhD program, I was working on a research project
Hmm.
and I presented in New York at a conference, New York City. And that's almost unheard of. to be published so soon after having your PhD.
Right.
Same thing happened. All the excitement of New York, the excitement of presenting the paper and having the questions. And I remember I was invited to hot tub after the conference where everybody kind of like
Oh la
just lets
la.
go
Yes.
and relaxes and all this kind of stuff. And I
Yes.
can remember here I am with the top researchers around the country,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm still not feeling good enough to be in the room. Still
So
not
then,
good
but
enough,
then you're going on in your life, right? So, but
right?
by this time, you're probably like what, in your early 30s, late 20s?
Early days,
You're a counseling and psychology expert. So, what
right?
is your assessment of yourself then?
So with the mask, if we don't really look at what's going on with the mask,
Mm,
so I then worked with folks that were dealing with cancer and the cancer patient because my mother had cancer. And I went through
mm-hmm.
that whole episode with her. So I wanted other people to feel good and not take it as a death sentence because back when it was a death sentence.
Right.
And then I got like, oh my gosh, this is burning me out. So let's go into creativity. What makes kids geniuses? And started looking at that. And
Mm-hmm.
then I was helping people go through their emotional upsets using creativity, using painting, using drawing, using color, using music or dance, whatever it took to be able to go through and express those feelings. And I worked with these folks, and I was thinking, you know what? I need to do this for myself.
Yeah.
Gee whiz.
Right. Yeah.
And then that's when I got the diagnosis of cancer.
Okay. So what did that unraveling? Okay, so you're diagnosed with cancer. So what did that unraveling reveal to you about the life you'd been, I guess I want to say living, but also performing too?
Oh,
And
performing.
what did you learn about yourself in that stillness?
Well, first of all, you go through the whole devastation of receiving that kind of a message. The idea that it just cracked me wide open.
Mm.
So, as most people think of, in hindsight, it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Oh, sure. Right. Yes.
Hindsight. Going through it, it was devastating. It was painful. I was angry. I didn't know what I did to create this. And then during the healing process, I decided to take out my paint and my brushes. The first thing I did, I
Can you
was
just
so,
tell me though? Wait, can you just tell me about that moment? Like, okay, so even though Miss Anti Purple Tree, your teacher, was like, no, that's not how it is. You still had paintbrushes. So you still were doing this. You incorporated creativity into your own practice, right? So it's pretty amazing.
right?
So you never said no to creativity, but tell me about that moment, like when you really were like, because I want people to know what it feels like when you really get the message of something that's going to move you into alignment because it's not always loud. A lot of times it's super, super, super quiet. And sometimes, like, my little alignment voice sits on my right shoulder. I hear her in my right ear, and she's like a whisper. And it's almost like when a hummingbird comes up and like is flying in front of you, you don't want to do anything to scare it away. But at the same time, I'm like, I didn't quite get that. Like, can you just tell me what you said again? So tell me about this because this was obviously a big thing for you to pick up your paintbrush at that point. What did it feel like in your mind? And then how did you have to tell yourself a long time to convince yourself to do it? Or was it an easy ask of yourself? And then what did it feel like picking up the paintbrush to do something for you? Oh my God, do you remember the first thing you painted?
Oh,
Oh my God. Okay. Answer
yes.
all of those questions, not necessarily in that order.
All right. So I was recuperating after having the surgery. And so I couldn't work. My body was very weak. I was still in the anger stage. And you get to a point where you tell yourself, well, if it's cracking, let's get to the core.
Right.
I want to be finished. I want this over with. I want to have a joyous life. As I was contemplating all this and being angry, it was like you said, a whisper, pick up the brush. Oh gosh, that means I got to drag
one
myself.
more thing. Yes.
Gotta go drag myself down to the garage and pull things out.
Right. Yes.
Hesitantly, so I did. I took out a canvas, took a deep breath, and said, okay, I'm here, now what? Took out the paints, picked up the brush. What color? Picked up red. And I just on the canvas. I was throwing paint. I was stabbing. I was dabbing. I was using my fingers. Everything. And then I picked up black, splattered black. And then I picked up blue. Blue. I love blue.
Yes. Yes.
And start using blue. And I just went into this mode of nothing else existed except the canvas and my getting it all out, so to speak, just putting it all on the canvas. And then I took a step back. Holy bejeebies, that is so ugly. It is absolute mess. But
like, of course, you want it to be like this total moment, right? Where someone's like, was it just amazing? And you're like, oh, yeah, I have it in my living room right now. And you're like, nope.
Nope.
But it's probably beautiful in all of that. Like,
so then I asked, what are you trying to tell me? What I'm expressing this is coming out. And so what is the culmination of all of this? And so it showed me the chaos. It showed me the mask. It showed me the perfectionism. It showed me tiny, tight spaces. And it showed right up here in the corner, there was no paint. I was like, what's that? It's like, that's the new script. That's the new script. You have to paint it. You just have to start painting it. So from that moment on, then I started painting every day, and it became like, I don't really like the words like ritual or that kind of thing, but it was like that. It became my meditation.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Painting. And what was so freeing about it is I've had a few art classes and trainings, art therapy, all this kind of stuff. And I just threw out all the rules. All the rules. Perfectionism. Do it right. Stay. Use only use this many colors. Don't do that. Don't go over the edge. All of that.
Yes.
It was gone.
How do you do how do you do that? Because that sounds amazing. And as a creative, like in my field, like my output has to be perfect. Like you can't have a billboard with like a typo, or you can't get like your client's colors wrong like that. So the output has to be really, it's highly synthesized by the time it goes through like all the review processes and things like that. But I love this idea of throwing out other rules, but like, how do you do that? Like, how do you do that? Because I really want to know so I can do it too.
Okay. So what happened with going through this process for myself is that's where the abstract, intuitive, impressionism process.
Amazing. Okay.
That's where it was born. And so basically what it is you just throw out all the rules and you just cover the canvas in whatever color you want to use,
Mm-hmm.
lightly. And then you go in and you move. You might want to dab. You might want to do some
Mm-hmm.
type of writing. You might want that, but you layer and layer. And then you step back
Mm.
and you look at it and you say, okay, so what is it you want to be when you grow up, so to
Right.
speak?
Yes.
What,
Yeah.
what are you telling me? What is it we're creating here? Because it is actually getting to recognize your own soul and your own true
Right.
self.
Yeah.
And you're allowing that to express the creativity because we're all creators.
Right. You
And
know
if we
what? I
don't,
love this so much. And I think one of the things that a lot of people, because I remember, because I was always really pretty good at art. So I was after sixth grade was sort of the age that you all of a sudden were good or not good at art. And it became an elective.
uh-huh,
And then also in high school was an elective too. And so I just think it's really quite interesting, but also like really sad that we stop kids from that. Like we don't even teach kids cursive anymore.
right.
So now you're making art optional or only teaching it from grades like kindergarten through sixth. And then you're either good or not good at art. So therefore that's going to determine your future with art. So how do you overcome a rule where we're told, obviously I like art. And some people might say that's not good art or that's not bad art, but it's pleasing to me. But like this looks like it seems pretty perfect. Like, wow, someone spent a lot of time on this. It's amazing. So, when something like art has this reputation, you have to be good at it. How do you, how do you detach from that just crushing perspective that's been forced upon us from such a young age? You just got to do
Well,
it. Are you just like, you just got to do it? Yeah.
well,
Stop
you
trying
do
to figure it. Stop
you
thinking.
you have to do it. Okay, you have to do it. But it comes also from reaching that part of yourself that is authentic and it is your
Mm,
expression. And the worth comes in. Is it good enough? How does it hold up to anything else?
right.
The idea
Right.
is it's you, it's unique, it's your
Mm,
expression, and there is an audience for that.
right.
And so there is no competition. And the idea, I still have Miss Perfectionist sitting on my
Oh,
shoulder that
yes. Yeah.
whispered to me all the time. I just had to put the brush down. I said, I'm finished with this painting. And,
Right.
and walk away. And then, like, I'll see it because I usually put them on the wall so I can look at it and say, oh, do I need to do something else?
Right. Yeah.
This perfectionism. Oh my gosh. She wants to just get in
Yes.
there and mess it up.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
So it's just to say, okay, honey, I understand. You've been such
Right.
a help to me all my life. Now I think I like it the way it is.
Oh my gosh. I love that you said that because, like, I was talking with someone, like, I love a limiting belief that reveals itself. Like, I have a really good friend and client, and she is like a meditation teacher, a happiness expert. Like, she is just, she defies explanation. Like, she's just this amazing human being. And I remember, like, having a meeting with her and I really had something heavy going on and she could tell. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm just having this like really limiting belief. And she's like, oh my God, this is the best news ever. I love hearing that. And I'm just like, and I'm like upset, and I'm just like, what do you mean by that? She's like, well, I really believe like when you have a limiting belief and then you become like very aware of it, it really means like it's revealing itself to you because now you're going to have awareness of it because you created it at some point in your life to help you, and it's just revealing itself because it's probably getting ready to go. And I was like, oh my God, I love looking at that. And I remember that like the next day I was journaling and I was like, hey, limiting belief, like I'm articulating what you are, but I don't really need to know exactly how or why. I just know that you were here, I created you and you helped me. But you know what? I've changed a lot. And I think your services are actually no longer needed. I'm not kicking you out. I just want you to know, like, I know, like, we're getting ready to separate. And I just want to thank you for your service. And then, like, I don't know, a couple days later, sometimes it's a few weeks later, I can literally feel what it feels like when I'm processing it, because the same thing happens all the time. So it's a super cool thing. But it's
Right.
like, it's not fighting that limiting belief too, because it was our creation. Like, you playing small was something that I just interviewed somebody and we just had the deepest conversation about psychological safety. And it has been blowing my mind because I start to see all these parallels. It was not safe for you to be creative in a place where it should be the safest, which is school and in your family and things like that. And so I just think, so you created a limiting belief, which is no purple crayon, like purple is not my color, right? Like, and then lived your life by that until you all of a sudden were like, gosh, little 6-year-old Deborah came up with that. And you know what? Like, I've been carrying that around and it helped. It worked. I got through school. I have my PhD. I have all this stuff. It helped me get everything I wanted at that time, but I'm different now. So I love that you're saying that. So talk to me a little bit more about your experience with those limiting beliefs.
Okay. So it's interesting. I love quantum physics,
Oh
and
yeah, I
I've
do
been
too.
doing a lot of reading and using a lot of that. The body, because when I was going through healing my body, I knew that the doctors tell you, okay, so we got it. We got to watch, and we got to watch you for 7 years, and you
Right.
might come
Yes.
back and all this stuff. And so I just said, I had enough. This is it. I'm done. I'm done with this. I am done with torturing my body because
Right. Yes.
I'm not living who I really am.
Right. Right. Yes.
And even in relationships, I've been married 3 times
Okay.
and very short lived
Mm,
marriages. The longest one I had was 10 years.
okay.
One was 13 months, one was 3 years.
Deborah.
When I was a young kid, yeah, you groom to get married.
Right. Yes,
Within
of course. Yeah.
that
Like, you're doing all the right things. And then
was
one of the
totally
things
step.
that, well, and I give you credit for like realizing that, because some people, a lot of people don't. So then they're in a marriage, they're just like, oh my God, what have I done? And they stay in it. I interviewed somebody for this podcast and she had the best line. I don't think she made it up, but she's the one who told me. So I will forever attribute it to her, Dr. Zaria Rubin. And it said, no matter how far down you are on the wrong road, turn back. So you were like and so I really give you a lot of credit for doing that, because that is not easy. So I love that you have a level of self-awareness that I think is really pretty cool. So, because in your book, there's no such thing as a purple tree. What, like, I'm so interested because, like, tell me, what did you learn through the writing process that you hadn't uncovered through painting? And then how did writing that book connect you then even deeper to your own painting?
Oh my goodness. As I believe that when we start working on ourselves and becoming more authentic, I don't think you get to a point where you're done.
No.
It is like a forever journey
Yes.
into finding out who you are and then having that, creating that bliss in your life that you
Right. Yes.
were missing all this time. During the writing of the book, I must have gone through about 6 tissue boxes because even though I had worked through all, everything that I was doing in the book, the actual writing of it, the actual publishing, the vulnerability, the
Hmm.
it's like all of that stuff I was reliving it, but differently. So I was feeling what it was in each of the segments in the book. And yet it was like it was all rising to the top and floating away, floating away. So it was was very
Cathartic. Yeah. I love that. Yes. It's a
it
great word, but a bitch to say. Yeah.
it was because I did cry a lot going through it. And then,
Right. Did you get to cry? Because, one of the things you said, like when you were sick, like you were angry, but did you get to like some of the things, like I look back at some of the things, like I would say, like our trauma things, and I'm just like, God, considering like I really wasn't even aware that I had like a trauma trigger or that I was like super affected by this, like all the way into my 50s. It's like, had I not known that, it's like did you ever have a moment where you're able, like, I think part of it is going back and just being like, wow, as like a little girl, I had a lot going on. Like I had a lot of like grown up things happening or a lot of grown up thoughts, or I was just aware of things in a different way.
right,
And you sort of look back at that, just be like, wow, when I was 10, like, and then you see a 10-year-old and you're like, wow, that's very young to be experiencing all this. And you're just like, well, that's just my life. Like, that's just how it was. So did you have those kind of moments where you're going back and like, I just really like want to go back and always hold like little Heather. I had this trauma coach and she's
yeah,
like, please put a picture of yourself, like of you from first grade, because that is when you're feeling that way. That's who needs attention right now. And sometimes we're so hard on ourselves when we're trying to heal. We're doing the work, like we're doing all the things. We can be like harsh in our language. Like, I got to kick myself in the pants. I'm really struggling with this. It's like we use very aggressive language towards ourselves. And did you have moments where you were actually able to love on little Deborah and purple crayon, who I like to call purple crayon Deborah?
absolutely.
Oh,
One of the things I did was I, as an adult, went back in time, and I used to have a reoccurring dream of being 6 years old in a pink dress sitting on a suitcase, and nobody else was around. And I never could really understand the dream for a long time. I didn't understand it. And so, what I did in this process, I went back in time and I got this great big rocking chair,
mm-hmm,
and I picked up that little girl off the suitcase and I put
mm-hmm,
her in my lap and I just rocked. And
mm,
I caressed her hair and I talked to her. And I told her that there were things that happened that you didn't understand, and you made certain decisions and you carried it through. And that was the most courageous thing
mm,
that you have done. You're still alive, you're healthy, and now things are going in a different direction. I
right.
really appreciate you. I
Mm,
want you always to be around. We're just going to do things a little differently because
right.
now
Yeah.
I'm going to take care of you.
Yeah. You're safe. You're safe now.
Right.
I got you. Right. Oh my gosh. I literally just got a full body. Like I have goosebumps on my cheeks right now. I'm just like, oh my God, this is so good. Okay. So you said something really beautiful. You said we don't need to be fixed. We need to be witnessed. For women listening to this who feel unseen in their own lives, which is just so many people, like just going through the motions or doing their absolute best, just being like, is this enough? What does being witnessed look like in practice? And how can we begin to offer that to ourselves?
One of the things is getting in touch with your authentic self or with your soul and
Mm,
allowing that expression to come out. An example, I'll give you an example. Like in a marriage, 3 marriages, I attracted those folks into my life that were in love with the mask. I never
Mm.
I never felt loved. I could love deeply, but I never felt love. And so when I ask why, it was because I wasn't being loved for who I am.
Right.
I was being loved for the expression
Okay.
I was projecting.
Hold on a second. That needs to be your next book. Like, I'm serious. That is absolutely probably one of the most self-aware things I've ever heard anyone say. So I just want to make sure I heard this correct. Okay, I just want to make sure I got this because it's really pretty amazing. It's like I could love people deeply because I knew who I was authentically, but the people who loved me loved this persona mask that I had created. So
Right.
even though they loved that mask, they couldn't really love the real me because they maybe didn't even know her. Number one, because you didn't reveal like,
Right.
and that's not, and
It
it's not,
wasn't
you are not your mask. Oh my
right.
God. Like,
So if you're not being
you
seen
just
as fully,
seriously, I'm going to call my therapist and say, we're done. All my problems have been solved.
bless you.
Yes.
That's what I love about this whole process, because once you take the mask off and you realize,
Mm,
it served a purpose,
but it's so
but
heavy.
it is. And how
Yeah.
many, and oh my gosh, like I said, every thread in the fabric of my life was affected, and I didn't know it.
Right. So when people say, like, find your authentic self, that sounds amazing. And I know that there are some people listening who are just literally like, I don't even know what the flip that means. So, like, what's one of the first ways to just even dabble into that part of yourself? Because some people are, you can, and maybe this is not for the people who are just like, you know what, I know that I have that, but you know what, my life is fine right now. If you're, but like if you're searching, what is the place that you can just, the first place to go to find your soul, to meet your soul?
I would say the first thing is to start journaling. That's one of the things
Mm,
that I use in the retreat. I have different kinds of prompts. So one of them is to ask yourself, go back to when you were 6 years old and
mm-hmm,
what happened? Did anything happen to make you feel small?
mm,
And just write.
right.
No judgment, free form, just write. And then what is it you might be hiding, or what is it you don't want anybody to know? What's because it's shameful. Nobody
Yes.
wants to talk about the shame. They'll say,
No,
"Oh, I'm
shame is
angry."
just, it's like so hard. It is just like the tenderest of all. I just know how hard shame is. Like, it's hard. And I think I can see why people are like, well, I remember like when I started to see this therapist, he was like, and don't worry, Dr. Day, I'm not going to fire you after this. The very first time I saw him, he was like, there are 5 emotions: mad, sad, glad, afraid, and hurt. And I was like, what if you feel betrayed? And he's like, no, bring it back down to one of like those really core emotions. And I remember telling him, like, well, I'm for sure will actively go out of my way to avoid 2 of those emotions. And he's like, which ones? And I'm like, sadness and fear. And he's like, why? And I'm like, oh my God, who wants to be sad or afraid? And he was trying to explain to me, he's like, when you allow yourself to feel all emotions, you become like this whole self-actualized person. And I'm like, okay, whatever, person who studied this and like teaches this and all this stuff, it has way more experience around this than I do. Whatever. But now I understand exactly. And I remember the very first time I really allowed myself to feel sadness because I grew up in a pretty like complex alcoholic structure where there's like one emotion, happiness. And so sadness was one that was usually like exiled. And so I remember feeling sad and then just being like, well, I sort of know why I'm avoiding it, because it feels terrible to feel sad. But then at the same time, now that I know, like, you can process, I have a much different relationship with those emotions now. I have no problem feeling sad or afraid. I don't mind feeling sad. I don't like feeling afraid, but I'm not going to exile it. Fear is just fear. It just is what it is. And so that's just so interesting. So I think you were just really reminding people just to be really tender with yourself. There's no right or wrong answer. There's nothing, you won't get in trouble. Like, I have a really good friend who helps people write books, and she's like, sometimes like people have these very complicated families. They're an only child and both their parents are dead. Nobody would, and they still feel like they're going to get in trouble if they write about this stuff. So you're not going to get in trouble. It's safe to do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's the thing about, you don't like, you embrace the 6-year-old. You don't throw her out with the bathwater.
No, because if a 6-year-old were in front of you and they were really struggling, if a 6-year-old came up to you and said, I'm lost, you wouldn't be like, this is a massive inconvenience for me. You're on your own, kid. You wouldn't. You would help that. Well, I would hope you would help that child. You know what I mean? But we do that to our own feelings all the time. That's why I like thinking about it, like really thinking about it when you get triggered, thinking about your little self in front of you, because you're going to treat yourself with so much more tenderness.
Exactly. And then you gain so much compassion for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then that goes out into the world. And with embracing, if you look at it as two sides of a coin,
mm-hmm.
you could have anger and you can have joy.
Right.
It's two sides of the coin. It's like one extreme to the other extreme and all the in between.
Right.
But if you're coming, not but, and if you're coming back to wholeness, then you accept it, but you don't, what I'm trying to say, you accept it as being okay if you get angry. It's
mm-hmm.
okay if you're sad. It's okay if you're joyful. It's okay if the souffle drops.
Yes, right. Yes. It's okay if the attachment doesn't go through on the email. Yeah. It's like all these things that we think are just like the most important things in the world.
It's okay, and it happens. What's important is, how do you want to view it? How do you want to accept it? How do you want to work with it?
Right.
It's like the whole world right now, what you're hearing in the news, it's like, it's chaotic. The weather, people, I protect myself.
Pick your flavor. It's,
from all
there's
of that.
A lot. Yeah.
The thing of it is, it's always going to be happening to whatever extreme that you yourself may be resonating with. So
can you say that? Can you just explain that just a little bit? Because I said like that hit, but I'm not sure if I entirely understand it. Like, I think that's one of those like quantum physics things where you're like, okay, I get it. And then you're just like, wait, I don't get it at all. Yeah. So what is that?
Okay. So we're energy.
Mm-hmm.
We have different each one of us has a certain signature frequency, so to speak. Okay. So if I am angry and I go out in the world and I'm vibrating this chaotic situation,
right,
what am I going to be attracting with it?
Right.
So this is the playing field. It is, we're the architects. This is the playing field, and it aligns with what we're resonating with.
Right. That is so interesting. I get it now. Thank you for helping me. Which is like, if I'm going to look, it's just like, I know sometimes it doesn't feel like you have a choice in how you feel about things, like, or how you respond to things. Like some things are really hard and they're really unfair, but you're like, it's still a choice. And I think what I'm hearing is you're like, yes, it is. And you can feel all the different choices, but you got to feel your
Where
way
do you
through
want to
it
live?
too.
Where do you want to live?
Yeah. It's like, yeah, exactly. Like, how do I want this? I remember reading this book, oh my gosh, years ago. I want to say, oh my God, do you remember Dr. Laura Dispenza?
Oh, yes.
Okay. I think it was a Dr. Laura book because I was like a fan of hers, like for a long
Ah.
time back, because she was tough, but she also sometimes gave good advice. But now she gives some advice that I'm like, that's really like the worst advice you could ever imagine. But I remember her saying, like, one of the things that she did when she really wanted to make a change is she's like, I would think a year from now, how do I want to look back on this situation and have remembered myself having acted? And I always thought that was a really good way to project yourself into the future to say, okay, when I'm looking back at this situation, how do I want to remember myself having acted? And it's like, do I want to say, like, I just stayed in my basement for 12 days straight and didn't shower and I didn't do anything? And you might be like, that's incredible. Or you could have said, you know what? I faced it and I did this, right? Like, I don't know. That's always been like a very helpful thing for me when I want to think back to how I acted in a certain situation. Cause I usually will end up getting to like the better action from that.
Yeah. And if you want to make it a little more ridiculous,
Please, always. Yes.
instead of just saying like a year from now, I said, in the light of all eternity, what is this blip?
Mm, right.
Because it's a blip if you don't live there, if you don't let
Yes.
it rule your life.
Yes. Well, they say, I remember my friend Monique, who's also my client, who's also this amazing person. I remember her telling me, she's like, Heather, emotions in their purest sense last for 90 seconds. I said, oh, that is some serious bullshit. I've had some that have lasted for like 30 years. And now I understand exactly what she means. It's because I have been attaching to those. And you can actually feel the emotion and process them truly within like that, like in that window, and feel the whole emotion, good, bad, sad, afraid, hurt, all of it. And then process it. Like it is, I just know that that is possible because I trained my brain to do, I trained my brain last summer to do that. Deborah, you are absolutely the most wonderful, joyous, radiant, creative, smart person. I love this mix of all these of my favorite things together. And so tell me, you have something special for my audience if they want to start exploring creativity in their life. And what is that?
I have a purple tree toolkit that I would like to
Mm,
offer for free. That just email me, and I'm sure
okay.
we have links, whatever. Uh,
Yes, we'll have links in the show notes, everybody.
yes, and I'll send that out to you. And I do answer every email. So if you have any
Wonderful.
further questions or you want to tell me a story, I love stories. I love people's
Oh,
stories.
wonderful. And then you have retreats and things like what are the different ways that people can work with you?
At the moment, I am gearing up for this brand new retreat. It may be a couple of months down the line, or I might wait to the spring.
Oh, okay.
And it'll be 4 days, 3 nights. We'll go through a beautiful setting in the Pacific Northwest,
Lovely.
uh, around water and nature. And the retreat is all about coming home to yourself. And
Mm,
we journal, we dance, we play is a big part of it. We
yes.
play and we splash paint and express ourselves through the paint
I
and
love that.
and create a painting that you will the participants take home that is
Mm,
representative of their newfound self. So that's
that is
kind
super
of exciting.
cool.
And we
Yeah.
have circles at the end of the day, sacred circles where we debrief what's happening, what's going on,
Mhm.
what you learned, how excited are you, whatever it happens to be, a sharing, that kind of thing. Now, I've done that with smaller groups, and it's been very, very exciting, revealing. It's called the Revelare, which is
The
Latin,
Revelare. I love that.
which is Latin for the big reveal.
Oh my God. I just got goosebumps again. As a marketing person, I love that. Love it.
Great.
You
So
have been an absolute joy. I wish I could interview you every Monday afternoon for my podcast. You're incredible. Thank you so much for saying yes to Curveball. And I just love and so appreciate the work you're doing. Go
well,
Purple Trees.
thank you. I just want to say one more thing. When you're
Yes.
feeling uncomfortable or not feeling that you're in a safe place and an opportunity comes up, say yes, because that is the marker that says you can move
Mm.
on. So just saying yes, and then other things will snowball from there.
Oh my God. That was
Yes.
if that's not a mic drop moment, I don't know what is. Thank you so much, Deborah.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a joy, Heather.